It's now time to review headlines of today's newspapers, and I hand it over to Mr. Steve.
Thank you, Shaitan. All right, so we go straight into it. We start with this day on Saturday, the newspaper of record. I think we should start with the lead story because it's something that gives a bit of hope. Naira sustains gains, now 1,382 Naira to $1. Tinubu canvasses patronage of local goods. And the riders are, also interesting. The president seeks whistleblowers against currency manipulators, declares ban on foreign trips, will save government 5 billion Naira quarterly. Interesting stories packed together in this very impactful lead story. First, of course, is to celebrate the little gains. Gains, maybe that's the right word to call them, but we know that they probably won't be gains to the pockets of people until Naira returns to where, at least to where it was, where before we made those, barrage of announcements, that, possibly took it to where we didn't want. But it looks, of course, like the president and the CBN, that maybe at least certain things are working. The Binance thing, it looks like we're on top of the speculators at this time. And I like what the president is saying that, whistleblow on them. Let's know who is behind this. Maybe that will work because it doesn't look real. To many people. It does,
it seems to not follow logical sense the way the Naira crashed, but it does seem like Mr. Cardoso over in the CBN has really fought for the resurgence of the Naira against the dollar, but
you need to
there's
fight
still
more.
a lot. Yeah, there's still a long way to go.
There's a long way
to go.
I mean, the jury is still out there as to where lies the true value of the Naira. The NLC folks are saying it should be around 600, 650. The people close to government say maybe around 700 to 900. But again, I'm not so sure that is the way to determine the value of the Naira. What are we parking into production? How, and the value of the currency doesn't determine the strength really of your currency. It's about what your economy, can do. And I think that goes to the heart of what the president is also now saying, that declaring ban, first saying declaring ban on foreign trips will save government 5 billion quarterly. This 5 billion quarterly, were they appropriated? Because if they were appropriated for people to go for training or to go for this one, if you now just have a blanket rule to say, no, you can't go for the next 3 months, how is that in sync with that arithmetically correct budget that you sign into law, because you can't unilaterally just say don't. But I get the sense in which the president is coming, given what we reviewed last week about the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation taking folks to London, having that.
I think currently our Senate President is not in the country. There are multiple trips still ongoing, and so we would like to see if they stick to this as because they didn't really stick to the number of delegations that was very, very much.
Even the president himself didn't stick to it.
And Nigerian Galali did come out and tell us forcefully the exact numbers that were going to be part of the president's delegation, the vice president's delegation,
and then returns almost 360. To correct himself.
So
one key important thing again is Tinubu canvassing patronage of local goods. I find that very interesting, but I think that the president should start from his base, the type of cars that you are using. I mean, I think it was under Babangida that decided that we go all not fanciful Peugeots, but we go 504s and things like that. We have we have a number of automobiles that are now being assembled in Nigeria. How can we patronize them? How can we encourage them if we do not have from the very top to say that this is the direction that we're going? Practically every one of them at that class in the executive and in the legislature, I don't know about the judiciary, can afford what they want on their own at home. But when it comes to using government money, I think that we should show some example that will tally with what you're asking other Nigerians to do.
Definitely, and I think we should also take it further than that, because we should also consider that they do wear watches, they do wear cufflinks, they do wear shoes, they do wear clothes, hats, sunglasses from our ministers to our presidency that are not Nigerian made. So even if they do not want to begin with the big ticket items like their cars, maybe, you know, we did have a minister in off-white sunglasses. She could, you know, buy one that was made in Nigeria.
Absolutely. I know that they do wear made in Nigerian wares anyway, because quite a number of them do patronize Sheyi Vodi. You know, the gentleman in Abuja is like, you know, doing quite well, catering to the needs of the political elite. You know, maybe that's in the sense that you are saying it should come to, you know, to Abebi by Tom, for example, you know, like let's say the minister of culture is wearing Abebi, for example. I mean, that sort of a thing. But, you know, it's an important subject. The amount that is voted for tires, for repairs, for importing cars, if we can only have, you know, Mr. President or people around him show example to say that the next 3 years of our administration, no, we're not going to import any of these things. He will have done something of monumental legacy for himself that people will applaud.
Definitely, because that tire money you are talking about specifically, we have the arithmetic of this budget has put more to tires than it has to NAFDAC equipment.
Absolutely.
You guys are not going to let this one go.
That's what we're talking about, isn't it? All right, on top of that lead story, DHQ, at the Defense Headquarters, troops make gains, recover weapons of slain soldiers in Delta, says no hiding place for killers of 18 military personnel. And the rider, organs of slain soldiers traced, recovered. Declares viral video of suspect narrows investigation to persons of interest.
Very interesting development.
It is. I mean, we spent a good chunk of time, you know, discussing what the military and the army, what they are doing. But I mean, good to know that they are making gains and that they've recovered weapons ultimately. But again, the question of human rights, the question of concern for the environment, you know, in those areas, they're jamming. And let's just hope that we'll have a conclusive situation you know, on this matter, because frankly speaking, too much destruction, too much bad news is not good for anybody. On top of that, Elumelu, TEF entrepreneurs have generated $1.2 billion in revenue, created 400,000 jobs. That's on page 16 of the paper. And on top of the masthead, US rolls out initiatives to boost Nigeria's creative economy. That story is on page 6. Interesting story. I followed it very closely, and I think that is good news, not only for the Ministry of Ajianatu Musawa, you know, the Creative Economy Ministry, but also to the people in that space. This is a welcome idea. I've had a few people comment on culture, film groups about the fact that, oh no, they should give us money. You know, we know what we have. They shouldn't come and take over now that we are doing very well. There's nothing that they are taking over here.
It's monetization.
Absolutely. Nollywood is doing well. Afrobeat and the music, you know, sector, they're doing very well. Even our literature, a literary space, and the visual arts. And if America as a partner, you know, as a friend, is saying that there are 3 key areas that we have identified that can be of, you know, that we can be of assistance, particularly in the area of bringing in the academy, the recording academy, you know, for the Grammys to partner. Maybe that will open the eyes of those who are pushing our minister to say that we should spend our money to have a Grammy, an African Grammy. No, the area where we need Grammys is to come partner for trainings, for studios, for things like that.
And for investment.
For investment, not that we will spend money to recreate Grammys in Africa when we already have our Afrima, when we already have our Eddies, when we have other things that we can celebrate. Isn't it, Sheyi?
Definitely. I mean, I agree 100%. I was looking at the videos that from the event, because he did meet with you know, these creatives, and they just kind of spoke on length about what the U.S. government is going to be doing with our creatives. They are launching an Africa Creative TV initiative, an American music mentorship program, and there's even plans to launch a Window on America hub at the University University of Lagos
Fantastic
campus.
stuff.
So, I just love the fact that because we've always spoken about diversifying our economy, we've been so focused on oil production, but there's so many things, especially in the creative space, that can contribute. Exactly, that's the next oil as well. So, I mean, it would have been nice if we were the ones that did it ourselves. But seeing that the US has been able to, narrow down on these things and are willing to partner with us, we've seen what they've been able to do with Hollywood, how much money that contributes to their economy. I'm hoping that we can recreate that.
It doesn't amount to taking over anything. The French should do their own. The Brits, if they are inclined to, should do their own. While, of course, our own ministries, what we should celebrate ministers for should not be that they are signing MOUs with others. It should be what they are doing, what they are bringing on their own. The quality of thinking that they are bringing out on their own. To increase, to improve that sector.
Definitely. Should we look at the Saturday Sun?
Yes,
absolutely. Let's go to Saturday Sun.
Yes, because the story right under the header there is that 7 days after arrest, whereabouts of Lagos journalists remain unknown. How 10 gunmen abducted my husband in my present wife. That rest of that story is on page 7. It's alleged that the man who was arrested was a former Punch correspondent, and that he wrote a story about an army defense or defense stuff, and afterwards he was carted away, and they're now petitioning the public and our security apparatus that they do not know who took the man away and they do not know where he is. Now the safety and integrity of journalists is extremely important in this nation. There is no reason under any circumstances that a journalist should be carted away for writing a story. And so that is definitely something that we need to talk about. It's definitely something that we need to highlight, because freedom of speech is something we've spoken about. Freedom of the press is something that we've spoken about. And I hope that the people, our president, our governor of Lagos State, and also the members of our House of Representatives and the Senate look into this, because at the end of the day, journalists are incredibly important for the safety of our country.
Very well said, because I'm aware that the Nigerian Guild of Editors, is on that case. I believe also that the Nigerian Union of Journalists will key into it. If a journalist errs, there are processes by which you can bring in.
You can't just go and pick him up.
You can't just go and pick people anyhow. Nobody has an idea of where he is. And again, it speaks to the fact that when it concerns the military, you can't just be alone to yourself, using a wrong method to correct a perceived anomaly. That is not right. There are processes by which you can deal with things like that.
Definitely.
All right. Maybe one more story from the Sun before we go to Vanguard.
Well, I'll read the next story and then we can talk about this one. But it says there will be consequences if Kanu died. That's IPOB, that's Nnamdi Kanu, who is being held. It says Kanu's family threatened to expose politicians behind IPOB leaders' continued incarceration. The next story next to that is that Kaduna, 600 abducted in 3 months. Bandits kill village head, 28 others in Niger and Benue states. Those stories are on pages 8 and 27.
Kanu deserves some justice, but again, the case is in court. I listened to his emotion-laden speech, at the last hearing, basically pleading, that if you allow me out in 2 minutes, you'll see that things will change. It's sad that this is where we are, given the sort of the things that he said in the past that were quite, not very good. But hey. It's about justice, isn't it? But justice must also have a human face, and I think that's the way that I want to look at the Kanu issue. I hope that he gets treated fairly at some point. All right, what do we have on the Vanguard?
So let's come to the Saturday Vanguard. Of course, the major story, the headline story there is the Okwama massacre, the untold story, the fears and the posers. And just under there, it says 6,931 people killed under Tinubu in 10 months. That's in page 13. But I can't help but notice the young, beautiful woman on the left, just beside the Okwama massacre, that just rubs off the wrong way. We're talking about people that have lost their lives, about, military personnel that have passed away, about 6,900 people that have died. And then on the side, we have this woman, of course, very beautiful, but not becoming.
Do you know who she is?
I think she's probably from Big Brother Africa. I'm not sure which one. And just not even knowing exactly why she's on the cover. I mean, it says on page 21. Okay, yes. So my director is telling me that's doing yes, but. Just for how it looks, Saturday Vanguard, maybe we need to be careful how we put certain images.
It's unbecoming.
Yeah, it's not really working.
Be honest, this is unbecoming.
I know that we've discussed this off the camera before several times. And, even with Genix, at the time, that what informs editors putting almost bare-chested ladies on the cover of a weekend paper. I think that it is a style that has outlived its usefulness. You know, when you move from the page 3 girls kind of a thing to cover on Saturday, and then we do not even know what she's doing there. There's no headline to suggest that it's important, other than to say if you go to page whatever, you will find more scintillating pictures.
And just behind our head, you can see the village, the Okwama,
that is burning.
Burning behind. So it's like,
I think that it looks bad, and I think that it's something that the editor, who's a fantastic journalist, by the way, not only for the Vanguard but for most of the Saturday papers, who tend to want to enhance the cover of their paper with stuffs like this. I think that we should be done with this sort of a thing.
Give it a rethink.
If anybody is interested in looking at doing whoever she is, maybe they should go to
yes, but
that
before we go, very quickly, there's a story on the top there. FG's federal government's fresh borrowings drive up Nigeria's public debt to 97.3
that's very fearful.
Trillion
naira.
Naira.
That's part of the effect of the dollar thing,
And also the effect of the arithmetic of the bloated budget. They need to borrow for that budget, don't they?
Sadly. Just in 1 second, Saturday Telegraph has an interesting story that anybody who knows should be interested in. It's on page 2 of the paper. Adebanjo Falai Adams author, for Nigeria to progress, federal government must implement CONFAB 2014 resolutions. I think that, wherever that document is part of what can guide us, the path of honor. And I know that is something that the president and his team, those who mean well, will not say no to.